give us our introduction to our next speaker.
Hello, everyone. It is my absolute pleasure today to introduce to you guys your next speaker. Tenesha Sellers is the Community Transformer Community Coordinator for Reaching Our Sisters Everywhere. She's a modern mom of 6 beautiful children, and she currently holds a supervisor position as a lactation consultant at Emory Decatur NICU department. Tenesha has trained and mentored approximately 500 community transformers. And through her position there, she's continuing to feed into those women, helping them, creating platforms for them to come speak on, and giving me this opportunity to introduce her. With over 15 years as experience, Tenesha has stayed committed to the lactation community. She has been a WIC peer counselor, and she is a liaison for the Rockdale County School System. It is my honor to present to you Tenesha Sellers, my friend. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much, Star, for that introduction. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. When I was put as the last speaker to come after these queens, I was like, oh my goodness, do y'all really want me to talk after this? Like, we can just close out. There's nothing else left to be said. But I am so grateful and honored to be here and to be a part of the Rose family, and to end this with pretty much what we've all been talking about. And so I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen, because from day one up until this very last minute, you guys have talked about every single thing in my presentation. And so I will not need to go too much in depth. We will skip over some of it just because, like I said, this has been an awesome summit. And also just having you guys speak on so much things, and having everyone that we've had, from giving out the crystal rose to having the men involved to talking about the LGBT community, including the kids. We talked to Miss Yvonne said yesterday that we move at the pace of our own children and our elders, right? So we got to hear it, and then we got to see some action on it. Dr. Nikitra Burst showed us gracefully how we move at that pace. And she did it with so seamlessly. And I loved seeing all the kids in everything. So the name of this presentation is called All Hands on Deck for Breastfeeding, Multifaceted Community Support. And that's what we've been talking about, right? Okay. So let me first start by saying I absolutely have no conflict of interest. And let me give you guys a little bit about my little family. So this is a funny story. This is my husband and I on the left. We call ourselves the pipe fitters. And on the right is my beautiful blended family. So we consist of 5 girls and 1 boy. So yes, he is always around a whole bunch of estrogen and all of his sisters, and it's a lot for him. But the reason that my husband and I call ourselves the pipe fitters is because that's actually what his job title is. He's a pipe fitter. He works in construction. And so when I met him, he told me what it was. So of course, it was all kind of jokes around it. But then as we started talking about what I did, I was like, oh, well, you work with one set of pipes and I work with a different set of pipes, kind of. So we'll just be the pipe fitters. And so here are the pipe fitters. I want us all to do a little breathing exercise with me. So in this picture, there's a well, a beluga well in this one, actually. So a neat fact about whales is that they don't have gills. They have nostrils, kind of like us, another mammal. And so they come up for air to breathe, but they breathe out of the top of their head. So I want us to all imagine us being this whale, because it's been a rough couple of year and a half, and we're still going through some motions and going through some things. And we've learned some different techniques through this conference and through the presentations of how we can self-care and how to make sure that we are staying grounded. So I want us to take about 8 seconds and do a breathing exercise. I want you to inhale from your gut all the way in for about 4 seconds and hold it. Then I want you to exhale, breathe it out through your mouth. You're going to think of steam coming out the top of your head, kind of like the beluga whale is. And we're just going to reset for a second, all right? So join with me. Inhale for 4. Exhale for 4. All right, thank you. So hopefully we're all a little reset. So our objectives today are gaining an understanding of feeding choice, identifying organizations doing this work in communities, which we have seen a plethora of those throughout this whole presentation and this summit, and empower moms to hold space and time for others while facilitating a peer-to-peer support. The mission of Rose, we've all heard about it. I'm not going to go through all of that for us because I want to try to keep us on time. But I love this quote by Shirley Chisholm because it speaks to the work that we all do. Service is the rent we pay for the privilege of living on this earth. So when you think about multifaceted, right? We know the word multi means many. Faceted means having different sides. That's what we're going to talk about, the community that is so many different sides, from being a doula to being a healthcare professional to being the sister friend, peer in the community, to what Brandy was saying earlier, her husband also included even the EVS team it's at the hospital. So it's a multifaceted, it's a whole team. Because when one mother decides to breastfeed her baby, she's doing me some good 5 miles away, thousands of miles away, because she's helping the planet, right? So we all have to be a part of this multifaceted support. So when you think about the word community, the thing that always sticks out to me is actually the word unity. That is the whole thing about community, right? So we know community means a feeling of fellowship with others as a result of sharing common attitudes, interests, and goals. But unity in there, it means that we have to all be on one accord, no matter what. We have to agree and know that no matter what's going on, we want to do what's best for every human being. And we have to be there for them. And so what we do know is that when women support each other, incredible things happen. But just imagine when the whole community support each other. Amazing and magical things absolutely happen. So here's a picture of some community support. This is, I want to say a peer counseling training, or maybe it was just one of those forums when we were getting together. You've got moms that are nursing, you've got moms that are pregnant, you've got trainers and people from USBC. Just, it's a whole team and plethora of different people that are going to be a part of one person's team, right? And so I could go through this slide, but we all know what the benefits for human in feeding and breastfeeding is. And I will, let me mention that I will use these words interchangeably because we're all working to become more inclusive. And it's important that we understand that human milk is always the best answer for our human babies. And so there's several benefits that mom will have. There's several benefits that baby will have. But let's look at that word benefit for a second. So when you think about the word benefit, right? When you look at these two pictures in the chat, do it look like the same car to you? Yeah, maybe so. It does. One's a little different. They're both going to get you to point A to point B. But the thing is that one, someone can see it's just the benefit, and the other one, after a while, it's the same car. They're going to say, well, it's an importance. Well, the difference between the benefits and importance is that benefits is an advantage, a help, a sake, or an aid from something. But what makes something important is maybe the outside of how it may look to someone. Now it looks important. It goes from being a beat up car, and it didn't look like it had any value, and we don't care nothing about it, don't even want to drive it. Scared that it may not even get us to point A and point B, truly. But then if I take it and I let someone spruce it up and take it to, I can't even remember the name of that show, but I absolutely love it when they spruce up all the cars and it looks like the car on the right, same Mustang. Now it's important to me. So now I'm going to treat it differently. And so that's one of the things where we have to start to kind of switch that for our moms. We've talked about language and how being inclusive and making sure that they understand the importance of what it is, because that is what is going to make it their mantra. So whatever it may be to get them to going on for their goal, whether it is, let's say, I don't want to breastfeed, right? They say, I don't want to breastfeed or chest feed my baby. But then they start looking into their history when they go to the doctor or go to their midwife, and they start asking them questions such as, do you have a history of high blood pressure? Do you have a history of sickle cell or any of these diseases? And they start talking to them. And if they've got a trained professional who's on board and on team and is a part of that multifaceted community, guess what they're going to start to talk about? How important it is that that baby gets that mom's milk. So now it becomes a mantra, even though she came in saying, I don't want to breastfeed or chest feed. But now that you told me that I can lose weight, or my mom, I'll let you know that my mom died from cancer. And so it's going to help me reduce my chances of getting it and be here longer for my children. Now I have a reason. Now it's important to me to breastfeed, as opposed to, I know it's a benefit. I know how great it is, but it ain't important to me yet. So whatever that mantra is and making it important, that's what we need to do. So these are just some lists of breastfeeding importance that we talk about all the time with moms, of low risk and what's good for the planet. And
Andrea would like for you to share your screen and then share it. So
I'm sorry, 1 second.
Minimize this because we can see this.
Oh,
so if you minimize that, it won't be on your toolbox. Share
all right.
and just do the PowerPoint, not your screen.
There we go. All right, back on track. So where were we? Talking about importance of breast milk. So we see this picture, we see the baby, we know, again, we may say, it's a benefit to this, it's a benefit to that, but let's make it important to that mom. And so why is it important for families to breastfeed or to human feed? We have to make sure that they understand and have things that they can resonate with. So seeing another mom breastfeed or chest feed, seeing a family together, supporting that mom breastfeed and chest feed, seeing a healthy baby that is happy to be a breastfed baby makes a difference. So we know that we lose billions and billions of dollars when we choose not to breastfeed. And so the average cost, I think I looked it up, and these numbers may be a little off now, but I think they're the ones that I just pulled up, about $475 per non-breastfed infant minimum for extra health costs during the first year of life, just to treat 3 common diseases. And most of those are imposed on Medicaid, insurance companies, hospitals, and the parents, most importantly. So we lose about $30 billion a year, right? It takes less than $5 to increase the global exclusive breastfeeding rate in children under 6 months. $5. We blow $5 quick. What are some options that moms or families can choose to feed? Moms can decide, or families can decide, that we're going to use our own milk. Or they may decide to use shared milk, or wet nurse, or donor milk when it's available. Donor milk is not something that's readily available to everyone, but it is definitely something that is being readily available to all of our premature babies in most hospitals. Then, as much as some of us don't like it, formula is also a choice, or we can do both. We have to meet the mom where she's at. We have to meet the family where they're at. So they can either be at the breast, or they can do formula or breast milk. It is absolutely their choice. And it's important that the whole team that she's with, whether it's her significant other, the family in the house, the pediatrician she's seeing, that they listen to her, understand that, and respect and support that decision. So sometimes you ask, why would a mom decide to exclusively pump, right? Well, she may be separated from mom and baby. Mom and baby may be separated from each other. Earlier today, Dottie Stafford was on and she talked about some of that skin to skin that may trigger some things. So there may be some other underlying things that are going on that they don't want. So Congresswoman Shirley Chisholm and Reaching Our Sisters Everywhere said, if you don't get a seat at the table, bring a folding chair and a pump because you may need it. You see the little one in the middle, he's being exclusively breastfed, nothing but mom's milk. And he's in the NICU, which is so important. Donor, shared human milk, oftentimes working at the hospital in the NICU and the milk lab, you get the question of, is the milk safe? And like, yeah, it screams so like 10 times. It's better than a screening for HIV. I tell them, like, it's safe over you deciding to give them that formula because it's the best thing that you're going to be able to do. But we have to be even careful with the language that we use when we're talking to our preemie moms, right? It's important that the whole team, whoever the mother's team is, whoever the family team is, that they understand what she's doing and how they can help. So knowing some of these simple measures of what fresh human milk versus frozen human milk. We know that we used to say 5-5-5 and things are changing. Now we're saying 4-4 and 6. We know that thawed human milk, we need to use it within 24 hours. But the difference is that for those frozen human milk, Havana will tell us we can use it within 48 hours, but we're never going to refreeze it. So if there's a caregiver that's helping that family to get to their goal, because mom says, I'm going to get to 3 weeks, I'm going to get to 3 months, and she's pumping exclusively, or maybe she's going back to work at 6 weeks, or whatever her dynamic may be, knowing some of these simple measures of how a support system can help them will continue her to breastfeed longer. She'll get past 6 months. So why is it important? See, I'm using that word importance versus the benefits for human milk for preterm babies. Well, it improves feeding tolerance. It's better growth and development. It improves cognition and a higher IQ. And it reduces the risk of neck, sepsis, and any infection, and even allergies. Neck is something that gets to the baby's gut. And premature babies, they really need that mom's milk to coat that gut, to keep them alive. So we have to start to let them know that your milk is not only just food and nutrition, but rather it's the medicine. And that's the language that we usually use. It's medicine for your baby. So special babies and mothers, we need to understand and help them to protect the mother and baby dyad the entire time. Support whatever the family information and situation is. Provide anticipatory guidance. Encourage the mother to participate in the care of her hospitalized infant as much as possible. When you look at this list of professional village, right? A breastfeeding professional village. You've got peer counselors, you've got CLCs, you've got IBCLCs, you've got breastfeeding medicine physicians and professional midwives and doulas and late midwives and birth workers. And truly and honestly, there's more that we can add to this list, like aunties and uncles and grandpas and grandmas, because they're professional. They're the professional village as well in birthing and breastfeeding. So normally this is what we have looked at. What is the community? What is the multifaceted community support for the mothers? Usually you see this: baby, mother, partner, family, the community, healthcare, workplace, government. But I'd rather see something more like this, where the mother and baby stays at the center of all of it. So from the time that she is from her family members to going to the grocery store, to going to the schools and the doctors and the hospital offices, to going to her WIC office, and even the powers to be at the U.S. Breastfeeding Committee or the federal health agencies, all of them, all of us are part of this multifaceted community support that needs to be all on one accord in unity to say that we are going to do everything in our might, come hell or high water, to make sure that each baby and every mother and family gets exactly the support and benefits and importance that they need to succeed in whatever it is that they would like to do with their family, whether it's exclusively breastfeed, exclusively formula feed, exclusively, or do both, and make sure that we're giving resources. So who is the village? Whomever they see fit, simple. The mother, the family, the parents, the partners, they decide on who is part of their village. And it's important that every partner in that village understands what is important and the number one goal to make sure that that mom meets her breastfeeding goal. So ask them. That's what we've been saying. Just ask them and allow them to identify. But when you ask them and identify them, let's make sure that those support systems are ready or on one accord to help them. We can't have a doula and a midwife and a mom and a doctor and the dad all in the hospital room and everybody's saying 10 different things. That's not going to work. That's bringing too much stress, too much anxiety to the mother and the baby, and they feed off of that. So we have to be on one accord. Our fathers, our hospitals, our federal agencies, our robe, our LGBTQ community. It's not pictured here, but we have to also make sure we include the deaf community because they need this support. And so what does support look like for them? And when you think about how do we bridge all of this together, bridges and communities, well, let me show you a bridge. Right now, this is what some of our bridges look like in our health system. Real shaky. Don't look real safe. I don't want to walk across it. And I'm sure some of you, when I pulled it up, was looking like, this not even a bridge, Tenesha. Well, running away from any problem only increases the distance from the solution. The easy way to escape from the problem is to solve it. How do we solve it? We build different bridges. From hospital to home, from home to home, if they never even make it to the hospital. We break down barriers, we respect the others, we invest ourselves, we dedicate ourselves to the community, we give of ourselves, and everyone will make a difference. And then we can have bridges that look like this. Now, this is a much safer bridge, and this is the bridge that we need to have in our entire community, in our healthcare system. What doesn't work and what are big barriers in the community is not having images that don't look like us, having images that we look down upon one way or another, and then praise on another. Lecturing does not work. They don't really want to hear what you got to say. You know, it's important to listen. One of the things that we do in our community transformer training and our peer-to-peer support training is to make sure that we really tune in into listening, because a lot of us think we're great listeners and we're not that good at listening. So when we say listen to Black mothers, we have to practice that. Go home, practice really listening. And it's a good practice to do it with your kids, but practice listening and not lecturing. Holding space. People don't always need advice. Sometimes all they really need is a hand to hold, an ear to listen, and a heart to understand them. Love is love. It doesn't cost anything to smile. And time does equate love. So if you give someone just a little piece of your time, sometimes just sitting in that same space with them, that is all they need. They don't need you running off telling them, well, you know, if you breastfeed, you're going to lose this weight. And if you do this and then you pump this way, then you'll be able to increase. That's not what I need right now. Listen to them and give them the space that they need and just hold the space with them. So hold the space and time. Let this be our norm. And why I love these pods, I'd love to see pods that are part of it to where moms can decide if they want to open the windows or not, and so that they can still see, or, you know, get to the point where we don't even need pods. So where it's just the norm to breastfeed anywhere and everywhere we go, and we don't look down upon, and our whole community is actually working together and being a unit. What community options are there for breastfeeding and human feeding? These are just a couple. There's several out there. The goal is to make sure that they know who the resources are in their community. What does that multifaceted support look like for them? Is it Rose? Is it Cinemoms? Is it the African American Breastfeeding Network? Is it Black mothers breastfeeding? There is someone in their community that is there to help them. And then we've got to make sure that we're connecting, because just like we heard from our wisdom just a few minutes ago and giving us that pearls, we've got to teach each other how to connect with us. You know, I grew up with that golden rule of, you know, treat others the way you want to be treated. Treat others the way you want to be treated. And as I've done this work longer and longer, and I have learned to change a lot of my language of things and have interacted with the different CTs and breast friends and doctors and nurses, I've learned that I can't treat people the way I want to be treated, because Tenesha really don't like Facebook. I don't like social. So if you're one of those people that do like it and you want to connect to me that way, you won't really connect with me like that. I like to be loved on. I like to be talked to. I like to be I like to be in your space. But then there's others who I have young adults, and I have CTs and breastfeeds that love to connect on here. So I treat people the way they want to be treated. And that's the whole purpose. That is what we're getting at. Treat others the way they want, treat mothers and families the way they want to be treated. Give the mothers the opportunity to decide, give it back to them, was ultimately their decision on how they want to birth, how they want to feed, how they want to do anything and everything when it comes to parenting. But let's make sure that we're making those connections through whatever it may be. And we know now one of the connections is getting through on this social media. So while I may not like it, I know that is the way that I have to connect to others. What about her here? What about the care providers? Are they community-based? Do they support human feeding? What if the community or village does not support with breastfeeding or human feeding? These are some questions that may be asked, and what are you going to say to them? You know, be able to work with the midwife and the doula and the lactation consultant and say, hey, and the pediatrician that's an IBCLC that took the time, or even the neonatologists and the doctors that have taken the time to say, you know what, let me take this extra step to understand what it is that my community needs. Because what we do know is that, again, breast milk, human milk, is best for all of our babies. So maybe connecting with WIC, knowing how to be part of, where are the baby-friendly hospitals, helping them understand what does that mean and what does that look like. Ideally, in the baby-friendly hospital, it is a multifaceted support. Babies are just a nice way to start people. We're going to skip through this because I'm at time. And this would be a video we would watch, but we're not going to. A lot of us, I think, have watched it, but this is what an ideal multifaceted community would look like. Each and every one of us, which is a video that Kellogg put up out in 2016 for the first food forum. If you get a chance, go check it out on YouTube. It's like, I think 5 minutes, or maybe it's 2.5 minutes. I can't quite remember, but it gives you an idea of what exactly what the multifaceted support looks like, from the grocery store to the farmer's market, you know, her local garden, to now in her school. Someone mentioned K-12 earlier, those type of things. That is my breastopia. I believe that every human being deserves the right to human milk, if that is what they choose. It can work. Planning, accept the help and access, consistent message and connections, supportive community, and a supportive world. On the right, I know it doesn't look like it, but we do it. We don't have to have the superwoman. We just need everyone doing their part and making sure that we are getting mothers and families exactly what they need. So thank you. Because remember, when we speak to someone, they hear. When we speak with them, they listen. And so in ending, thank you guys for listening. Thank you for your time and being patient with us throughout the whole summit. And just remember to encourage your families to build their team, build their support, and work with them and listen to them.
Thank you, Tenesha. Was that Lance?
Where?
In the
The last-
picture of you. That last picture.
No, that actually was, what is her name? Our RCT from Alabama.
Oh, okay.
I
Okay.
can't remember her baby. I cannot remember the name right now.
All right. Thank you so much. Well done. Thank you. Thank you.